USA Delver, French Delver, red, blue, white Delver, any kind of way you want to talk about it. One of the interesting little things about Ed's deck here, he is not running Swords to Plowshares, he is not running Path to Exile, he is running Vapor Snag in that slot.
He is also running Step Links.
Yep.
Which you see there on turn 1 from Ed.
In many ways, this is kind of like we were talking about before, that old school Pro Tour jank list. This is a Pro Tour jank deck. Aggressive red and white creatures, a little bit of Delver action. Good stuff. Here we go.
All right, Inquisition of Kozilek from Sam will show us exactly what Ed's got. And it looks like Delver, Brainstorm, Brainstorm, Ponder, Volcanic Island. And, well, that's quite a number of cards. Now, Sam goes with the Delver. Takes that away with the Inquisition and passes back to Ed, who's going to Brainstorm here. Main phase Brainstorm.
Best kind of Brainstorm.
Adrian Sullivan special.
This is not my special, no sir.
I just like how you always emphasize when people main phase Brainstorm, because it's something that a lot of people don't do. And so that's why I call it the Adrian Sullivan special.
We see Delver in the yard there, taken away by the Inquisition on turn 1. Ed adds a Brainstorm to the graveyard. He adds a Flooded Strand to the graveyard. The Step Link's now a 4/5, a very quick Urnum Jin-like attack on turn 2.
And I think Sam really doesn't have an answer for that at the moment. It's gonna go down to 15 here.
Follows up with any other spells. Maybe he sits there. Now the danger of Step Links, a lot of times you want to save your fetch lands and save them for your Brainstorms, because Brainstorm is so powerful. Ed is trading that in for damage.
Well, in that case, he actually did do a very good... He Brainstormed first, put some cards back, shuffled them away.
But I mean, the second fetch he used right away.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. He did fetch and get rid of stuff right away. So that you're correct.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like in this case, he actually got the best of both worlds. And here he's going to Brainstorm again on his main phase after Sam just plays a land and passes. And he's got a handful of Ponder, Daze, Force, and I believe 2 lands right now. Still resolving Brainstorm though.
And we get a first land, Flooded Strand, fetch. Getting another land, Step Links once again doing an Urnum Jin impression. People say that Wild Nacatl was too good for Modern, but Step Links here.
Step Links doing some work.
4/5 for 1 apparently.
Yeah, looks like 9 total fetch lands in Ed's deck, which it would seem like he has infinite fetch lands so far. I mean, he seems to have been able to find them early when it matters, when he's got the Step Links out and Sam has no blockers. So looking good for Ed at this stage of the game. Now it's very early. And a second Step Links from Ed. Sam untaps. Yeah, he's going to crack a fetch land here.
Sam at a precarious, I want to say, 10 life.
Yeah,
there it is.
So if Ed can pull he does play red, so if he can pull Hidetsugu's second right here, not only will we all be shocked, but somebody needs to run and tell Shaheen Sarani, because that is his favorite card.
Sam lays a land, fetches, goes to 9. Now a stone's throw from death.
Although
we might see a Lingering Souls.
Out of range of Hidetsugu's second right, though. And it looks like Lingering Souls. So.
Force of Will from Ed Womble, fighting basically just to knock, for the privilege of knocking Sam way down. Sam fighting back. A little bit of a library mishap there as his excitement pushes the library all over the place.
Yeah, so Ed forces removing Force, Sam forces removing Spell Snare, and Lingering Souls resolves, which is going to buy Sam some time unless Ed is able to clear those spirits out of the way. And Sam, a member of Team Lands in front. A lot of those today.
Draw 3 with Brainstorm. See what we get. A little late. That
another Force.
Another Force of Will. Land back. Force a will back.
Brainstorm finishes resolving here.
Ponder. 2 of these are known. It is known. Shuffle away. 1 card left for Ed Womble. He'll get 1 more card back from his Ponder.
Yeah, not sure what he has in hand right now after, oh, it's Days, I believe. Which is something I imagine he would have cast last turn if he still had the Days. He may have brainstormed it away.
Pass is back. This is a turning point in the game here. Ed Womble now.
No, he still has the Days. I'm actually surprised he didn't use it earlier.
He drew the Days off of a Ponder. He shuffled it away and just drew a new Days.
Okay, so I didn't realize he shuffled away the other Days. So Steplinks is held back by the fact that they have 0 power because Ed did not play a land last turn.
Main phase Brainstorm.
And that's Ed's 4th Brainstorm, I'm pretty sure. Got a Misty Rainforest there. Also, looks like a Wasteland and something else in between.
There's a Geist of St. Trapt in his hand.
That's what I thought it might have been. Alright, so he puts 1 back. Looks like he's going to put that Daze back, and it's likely going to get shuffled away. Or at least, presumably, going to get shuffled away if he decides to crack this fetch land. So, landfall 1. He's not going to crack the fetch land just yet, but he may be doing it next turn. So 2 spirits get in the way, and just chump block for Sam, preserving his life total. Still at a fairly precarious 8 life. There are 4 lightning bolts in Ed's deck, not to mention the Vapor Snags you mentioned. 4 copies of that. Now, you know, Ed could really win off the back of a Vapor Snag if Sam's life total gets low enough. Batterskull off of Stoneforge Mystic from Sam.
This is actually going to be one of those moments where I know you were talking about how you're not a big fan of the Stoneforge Mystic package, but the threat of Batterskull for recovery against aggressive decks, I think, is the part of it that makes the Stoneforge Mystic package the best. When you're actually talking about Stoneforge Mystic against other control decks, I don't actually think it's all that hot. But here, if he can survive the next 2 turns, basically, he's going to be in good shape because of it.
Absolutely. I mean, if there's any deck you want Stoneforge Batterskull against, it's a deck like this.
We see the march in of, pardon me, the next turn we'll be seeing the march in of the Steplinks once again.
Yeah, very interesting that Ed chose to crack his fetch land there, where the Steplinks is, you know, getting the bonuses wouldn't matter. Well, he's got an Arid Mesa to press the attack there. So again, the last 2 spirits get in the way. Geist of St. Trapt comes down and resolves, and now Sam's going to be able to plop a Batterskull into play very shortly.
Ed Womble has Sam at 8. Sam with a Batterskull in hand.
Sam trying to decide on his plan for this turn because, well, not only does he need to stay alive, but he kind of needs to win the game. So he's going to crack a fetch line, go to 7.
Basic lands each. Tempest basic lands. Steplinks back down to 0-1.
Yeah, so
The
Sam...
sides of small birds.
Not only is Sam able to represent the Batterskull, which Ed is very well aware of, but Sam has a Snapcaster in hand, which even if Sam isn't able to get value out of it as, you know, flashing something back, he can still...
Wasteland comes into play. That fetches out the activation of Stoneforge Mystic for Sam. Batterskull, a Luis Scott Vargas token. Luis is the germ, I guess.
He certainly is in this instance, representing a germ. So there goes the Underground Sea. But yeah, so as I was saying, Sam now has Snapcaster Mage as a surprise blocker if he needs it. Ed is...
He's like, I got an angel.
In.
He indicates an angel in there with his hand. He doesn't have a token yet. Don't forget the Angel.
There
we go. Snapcaster comes down as a friendly blocker. Currently, these step lynxes are 2/3s.
Are they 2/3s? I think he had all those lands. I thought
now it's a 4/5 in a second.
I thought that Arid Mace has been sitting there. Did he play another land this time?
Yeah, he wastelanded.
Oh, that's what the Wasteland wasn't there. That's why I forgot
Yes.
about it. Okay, you're right. They're 2/3s.
Now they are 4/5s. He's going to be dealing 8 damage here. The lifelink, no longer triggered, means that Sam Roukas does survive at 3 life now.
Yeah, he's going to gain 4 and then lose 8.
Another Geist. Sam Roukas at 3 life currently. Is Ed Womble empty-handed?
I think he is hellbent.
Oh, wow, that's an awesome moment right there.
A flashback Lingering Souls alongside a Stoneforge Mystic and a Batterskull and a Germ. And Sam looks like he has 1 card left in hand. Ed draws his card, and I think he scoops him up.
He's like, I can't get through now. It's over. Batterskull for the win.
Yeah, needed like a lightning bolt or something. Ed drew a ton of counterspells and brainstorms early on, but was not able to find Vapor Snags or lightning bolts or stifles. It seemed like very. He also didn't see Grim Lavamancer. He only saw 1 Delver, so interesting.
Yeah.
He drew like half of his deck, but not the other half, and wasn't able to get there for him.
Now, Ed Womble has named his deck Patriot Act.
Oh, I like it.
And in our deck sheets, lots of things are there. Last name, first name, DCI number, but also it says event. Most people are writing Star City Games DC. He writes the one where Ed vapor snagged everyone.
I like it.
This kid's got some style. Sam Roukas here, much more traditional deck. I think we're probably going to see his kind of generic anti-aggro cards. In this case, Engineered Explosives is in the sideboard. It's a reasonable card to bring in against Step Lynx. You can drop an Engineered Explosives on 1 mana, blow it up on 2. And other than that, potentially Spell Pierce to fight all of the brainstorms and ponders and presumably bolts that he expects to see from Ed Womble. Not much else though that makes much sense.
Yeah, it looks like on Ed's side, Sulfuric Vortex, a card that's very scary if you can't deal with it.
Sulfuric Vortex, red, 1. For an enchantment that prevents life gain, and then during each player's upkeep, they take 2 damage. This is a card that used to see some main deck play in many burn decks, and it can actually come back into main decks as a reasonable burn card, primarily because not only does it prevent life gain, but it can serve as a means to kill your opponent all by itself.
Yeah, so, over time, if you can keep your opponent's life total lower than yours, you basically use Sulfuric Vortex as your win condition. Very interesting way. He also has a couple of Pyroblasts he can use to fight the blue counter spells. He's got a Disenchant to deal with Batterskulls. He could really, I think that's likely all he brings in. He could bring in a Vendilion Click. We saw how that interaction works when someone uses their Stoneforge Mystic to try to violin a Batterskull. A Vendilion Click can put a stop to those shenanigans if you have it at the right time. So he could bring that in, just 1 in the board. It's also a nice aggressive creature and has the, since it has flash, it's kind of like pseudo haste. Play it at the end of your opponent's turn, untap swing. So you have that that ability on it. But yeah, I like Ed's deck.
I do too. I mean,
very cool.
Vapor Snag is not such a crazy choice when you think about it. Path to Exile is a card that's already seen play in a lot of aggressive decks as an alternative to Swords to Plowshares, where you don't want to give your opponent that life from, say, a Tarmogoyf. And in many ways, Vapor Snag is another variant on Path to Exile. You're going to be down a card, and they're going to, essentially not have that creature in play for however long. In the case of Path to Exile, they turn it into a land, and in the case of Vapor Snag, it's returned to their hand. Either way, it's off of the table, and you're down a card.
Yeah, the one difference, though, which is very relevant in these decks, and anybody who was playing Standard before Ravnica, basically, knows the power of Vapor Snag, where, it seems like this innocuous little unsummon that has, oh, I lose a life? Okay. No, it's whatever. But that matters.
Absolutely.
And especially matters in a deck that can take advantage and put a lot of pressure on as it is. So, Path to Exile gives it the land, Swords to Plowshares gives it the life. Vapor Snag, maybe not as strong as those two, but takes one life.
For those of you who are just joining us, I'm Adrian Sullivan here in the booth with Joey Pasco. This is round 5 of 9 of the StarCityGames.com Open Series here, live in Washington, D.C. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at SCG Live and join in on the conversation. Hashtag
Definitely.
SCGDC.
Trying to keep up with you guys on Twitter as much as possible. We did have a few internet issues a few minutes ago, but hopefully that's something that no, we can just put that behind us and not happen again. Looks like Ed has drawn his 7 and has kept, but Sam appears to be on the mulligan. Just shout out to Michael Agnew, main phase brainstorm. Hey, main phase brainstorm is a lot of times the right way to play brainstorm.
There's actually a local band here in town that's called Main Phase Brainstorm.
I didn't know that.
I'm just kidding.
That would be really. You should have kept up. You should have kept lying at least for a few minutes.
I don't want to deceive the folks. Step Links on turn 1 versus Polluted Delta on turn 1. Looks like a promo Caracas or a alternate art Caracas.
Judge promo Caracas.
Ooh, a fetch from Sam Roukas summons a Stifle. It's getting 2 damage from that Step Links. It's mimicking a Curdape right now. Wasteland from Sam. Now Sam knows he's playing against a Stifle deck. Ponder, Fishy Ponder from Ed Womble. Looking for something good to do.
That's the Ponder I like. He draws Delver, Misty Rainforest, and couldn't quite see that 3rd card, but whatever it is, we'll see it in a couple turns if he doesn't crack a fetch. Oh, never mind, he's going to crack a fetch. So, he drew his card off Ponder, it's that card. Yeah, I think that's what he's explaining here.
And he's trying to explain why he's ahead. Well, it's because of the Stifle. Oh yeah, that's right, Stifle, forgot.
Yeah, exactly. I think Sam was like, wait a second, you already played a land this turn, didn't you? Nope.
Nope.
I stifled your land drop. I drink your milkshake.
Step Links doing an Urnham Djinn impression, take 4, and he lays a proxy into play. Wait, I didn't know that they allowed proxies.
They do. Only for the flip cards, though.
Yep.
It's not really a proxy, it's actually just a flip card. I guess I wouldn't really consider it a proxy, but...
There it is, Delver of Secrets.
I guess it's technically a proxy by definition. So Delver, Step Links.
Does not find the secret this turn.
I don't think Ed is too sad about that, given the situation on Sam's side of the board. A lone wasteland.
Yep, he does the shortcut. He's like, I'm going to fetch this, get a land, and attack you. Take 5, because the Delver has not yet found the secret.
Still just 5. Still delving for secrets, but not quite finding any. Caracas taps for a white, brings out another Step Links. Not fearing any sort of Supreme Verdict shenanigans at this point, but a Terminus could be a possibility from Sam, although he hasn't seen any indication. I mean, we know it's no Terminus. I'm talking about from Ed's point of view. There could be a Terminus in Sam's deck. It could be some miracle variant of...
Oh, Ed just is like,
Ed says,
look at this,
I got
the...
Bolt.
Yeah, and that was not a still had all these. That was...
No, it was
do you want us to go on to the next one? Yeah. Now, one of the things about showing your hand... If you're showing the hand to speed things up, that is not a still had all these. If you're showing the hand after you've won to show them just how badly they've lost, that could be considered a little bit of a rub-in.
Some people cast the still had all these instead of like winning and then showing their hand. They're like, well, I'm also gonna, you know, oh, you're dead to my attackers. I'll cast Thundermaw Hellkite also, and Searing Spear you and attack. Like, oh, you had me dead without the spear and the Thundermaw Hellkite.
Sam going to his sideboard again. I think that it's possible if he was not boarding the Spell Pierce before, I think the Stifle might have convinced him to board the Spell Pierce in. Alternately, he could just be doing a playing first, playing second swaparoo, depending on how he feels like perhaps some cards are better on the player draw.
Ed potentially doing the same thing. Ed didn't really see much of a different perspective of Sam's deck that game. In fact, Sam didn't see much of Sam's deck that game. So he's making a few changes. If you're just catching up, just tuning in, I'm Joey Pasco in the booth with Adrian Sullivan, coming to you guys live from DC, where we're in the middle of round 5 of 9 of Legacy. So we're actually smack dab in the middle of the Swiss rounds, in fact. StarCityGames.com Legacy Open. We are going to be covering all the Swiss rounds, the remainder of all the Swiss rounds, and of course the top 8 tonight, where we will be giving away 3, then 6, then 12 months of SCG Premium during the quarters, semis, and finals, respectively. So follow us on Twitter. Keep watching. Stay tuned. You can win SCG Premium access and read all the fancy writers on SCG. We got Jerry Thompson, Brad Nelson, Brian Kibler, Patrick Chapin, Michael Flores, all kinds of cool guys. Lots of great information. How do you feel like going into Game 3? Sam's on the play. So Ed, obviously, with a quicker deck and able to capitalize on being on the play in Game 2, you feel like, which deck would you rather be? Which seat would you rather be in right now? I think I have a feeling I know which one I'm going to go with anyway, but I could be wrong.
The tenor of the game is radically different if Ed is first or second.
Yeah.
But like, just looking at these lists, I feel like Sam on the play has significant bonus to the chances to win. His early Swords to Plowshares, potential of Inquisition to actually be useful, potential of getting a Stoneforge Mystic on play before Ed has had a chance to attack.
Yeah, also keep in mind, if you saw Game 1, Ed had quite a start. Double step links, and they were attacking as 4/5s for a couple of turns, and Ed was unable to close that game out. Sam resolving Stoneforge Mystic into Batterskull really put the brakes on things, and it doesn't take much time for a Stoneforge Mystic into Batterskull to happen.
Sam Roukas, you can see here, turn 1 Marsh Flats, fetches a Plains immediately. Immune to Wasteland, Ed Womble with no mana in play to potentially stifle anything. Oh wow, Ed Womble has brought in the Grunts, Jotun Grunts in Ed Womble's hand.
That is not one you expected to see. It is a 4/4 for a white and 1 cumulative upkeep of, well, it puts, let's see, I actually
cumulative upkeep of 2 cards from a library are put on the bottom of another library. Or pardon, not another library, put in the bottom of that library.
Again, I drink your milkshake. Give me your...
Delver swings on in on turn 2 for Ed Womble. And it sounds like Ed does not have another land.
Or at least it looks like it. But he
okay,
doesn't have...
Turn 3, I should say. Another waste. Oh, the tables have turned. Stifle it, he says.
There's
the Jotun Grunts.
Jotun.
In for 1 once again.
4/4 for 2 seems pretty sweet, and then when the
boom, Stifle is revealed. I know the secret.
The secret is Stifle. Yeah, so a 4/4 for 2 is pretty sweet, and also starts to kind of nuke graveyard-based strategies, or any deck trying to make any sort of use of the graveyard, including Snapcaster Mage decks, which there are 4 Snapcasters in Sam's deck. So Ed being able to kind of turn those into, what did you call it? Like an Ashcoat Bear kind of.
Right. Ambush Viper.
Ambush Viper was the one I was thinking of. Stoneforge Mystic from Sam Roukas. So this is the turning point. If Sam can get that Batter Skull, but he actually gets it stifled. So Stoneforge Mystic comes down and stifle happens on the trigger. So that's just a squire for Sam.
Sam Roukas once again. Look at that Wasteland, followed by Lingering Souls. No land for Ed Womble now.
Triple Wasteland draw for Sam, and still able to he's still got 3 lands in play. Wasteland surprisingly effective against Ed's deck that can actually run on very few lands, but can't run on 0 lands. Still, Ed does have a Delver of Secrets and a Steplinks in play. Steplinks not great without any lands, but you know, assuming he draws lands, can be threatening. But the Delver of Secrets that has flipped, it's an insectile aberration at this point, still pretty threatening. Sam putting up a wall of spirits to keep the to hold off the Delver. I predict a double block.
Ooh, look at this.
4
fetch land.
Spirits. And a fetch land, a polluted delta off the top for Ed. He plays it. Landfall. Crack my fetch land, go to 19. He's gonna find
3 wastelands are gone. His need to fear any further wasteland is pretty small.
Yeah, so he goes with Volcanic Island here.
You can see the vortex in his hand,
Yeah.
far away from being cast.
So landfall triggers twice. Steplinks now attacking as a 4/5. 1 spirit gets in the way, and we've got a Grim Lavamancer.
Grim Lavamancer is going to be awesome. See a disenchant in Sam's hand, and Sam Snapcaster main phase uses it to brainstorm immediately. I think I see a Swords to Plowshares and land.
Yeah, fetch swords. Flooded Strand. So he keeps a Flooded Strand and a Swords to Plowshares, puts a couple of other cards back. Didn't get a great look at those. Gonna play the Flooded Strand here. He's gonna go ahead and Swords to Plowshares that Grim Lavamancer because you know what? He thinks it's gonna be awesome too. Wants to put a halt to those shenanigans, and now with a counterspell in hand as alongside a couple of other cards. I believe he's got 3 total. Wants a Crucible of Worlds so he can replay those Wastelands, but I don't think he plays Crucible.
No Crucibles in Sam Roukas' deck. Now, it's worth noting that
oh, he has a Disenchant in hand as well.
Ed Womble has is already down to less than half of his life total.
Sam is half.
Sorry, yeah, Sam Roukas is down to less than half of his life total. And Ed has been largely just struggling to put up game here. So
yeah. He has managed to stifle the Stoneforge trigger, and that was, I think, huge because the Batter Skull would have really, I mean, if it wasn't already going Sam's way, Batter Skull would have certainly been really tough card for Ed to fight.
After combat, Ed Womble fetches. His creature was chump blocked by Sam, and I think he might drop a Jotungrunts here.
Yeah, he does have access to 2 mana now.
Here it comes, Jotungrunts.
More than he's had all game.
He's got 2 Jotungrunts in his hand.
Yeah.
As we said before, 4/4 for 2, cumulative upkeep, puts 2 cards from a library on the bottom of the owner's library. Or in a graveyard.
2 cards from a graveyard on the bottom
of the owner's library.
There you see. So during the first upkeep, 2 cards go from a graveyard onto the bottom. During the second upkeep, 4 cards. During the third upkeep, 6 cards.
Snapcaster Brainstorm again. Snapcaster Plow.
Deals with a Delver of Secrets.
Not too concerned about the Jotungrunts right now. Those things don't stay around for long usually, but the problem is, it's a big body.
Yeah.
In for 1.
Sam with several blockers, not only 1 Spirit held back, but 2 Snapcasters and a Stoneforge Mystic. Cumulative upkeep happens there. Wasteland from Ed, and he is unable to cast that Vortex. Costs red 1.
Red 1, that's correct. In they come.
Yeah, he had one landfall trigger, so it's a 2-3 and a 4-4 coming over. I mean, Sam in reasonable shape here. He can block with a Spirit and a Snapcaster, which it looks like, oh, he's actually going to go ahead and try to take out one of these guys.
All those cards in his hand. Remember, Ed Womble has been choked on mana, so his hand is full of cards he has not been able to cast up until this point.
Sam really trying to decide what is the best call here. So he can chump block. He can put the Spirit in front of the Step Links just to chump block it, and put the 2 Snapcasters in front of the Jotun Grunts to deal with that. He's also considering putting the Stoneforge Mystic in there somewhere. I think he's afraid of some sort of combat trick to save one of the creatures, some sort of removal mid-combat. So he's going to actually do it the other way around. He wants to take out that Step Links. Snapcaster, Stoneforge Mystic, all blocking the Step Links, which right now is a 2-3.
Now, this is pretty... He's got to order his blockers now, and he says 1, 2, 3, snap, snap, Stoneforge.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter which Snapcaster goes first because they're both the same at the moment. So both Snapcasters die. Stoneforge sticks around.
Geist of St. Traft. Ouch. Summons a looking like a beta counterspell there.
Yeah, looks like it could be.
Ooh, Wasteland. The 4th Wasteland takes care of the red mana for Ed Womble. And 5 mana. That's going to be Lingering Souls plus Flashback.
Yep. Ed moves the Lingering Souls from the graveyard to the exiled zone.
Attacks for 1 with his... and then Ed here is like, let's get all of those out of it. Wow, he puts a Wasteland back in.
Yeah, that's something you don't see. So so Sam could potentially find a 5th Wasteland if any shuffle effects happen.
In for 4.
Spirit gets in the way. Sam.
Another grunt. Wow, these grunts are gonna run out fast.
Yeah, they are. But Ed wants to try to end the game as fast as possible. He's got a 4-4. It's essentially kind of like a 4-4 with fading.
Engineered Explosives was just drawn. EE for 2.
It'll fade a little faster now.
Boom.
So the grunts go away to the Engineered Explosives from Sam.
In for
also
4.
loses his Stoneforge Mystic in the process, but the Spirits stick around and crash in for 4. Daze off the top, I think, for Ed. He's got a Disenchant. So.
Disenchant, Daze, Stifle, Sulfuric Vortex, and cards I can't see.
Pyroblast off the top, and Ed unable to find any more threats. A lot of cards in hand, a lot of answers. Finds a Misty Rainforest, double Stifle, Pyroblast, Daze, Sulfuric Vortex, Disenchant, I think is his hand. And he plays the Misty Rainforest. So he does have one threat in the form of Sulfuric Vortex, so he could potentially try to stick that here.
Main phase Brainstorm.
Yeah, he's going to Brainstorm here. Main phase try to see if he can...
He's going to need to get
some action. Oh, he's on Bolt Vendilion click, so that's 9 right there.
But it's a little late.
Yeah, he's in a tough spot, but he's going to have to use those bolts more likely as answers to the... No,
that's it.
Was he at 8 there? Was he...
I believe he was at 4.
Okay, well that makes a lot more sense if he was lower than 8. He had just went to 4, right? Okay. So Ed Womble scoops to the inevitable Spirit beatdown from Sam Roukas. 2-1. Sam's favor, Esper Blade over the Patriot Delver, however you want to call it.
It's kind of exciting to me that Lingering Souls is actually able to be so effective at being a real player in Legacy even.
It's a fog that attacks.